Let's talk about a plan. A big, bold plan. One that promised to shake up the auto industry and put Detroit back in the driver's seat. For decades, Detroit was the beating heart of American manufacturing. But times have changed, and the city's automakers have faced fierce competition from around the globe. Former President Trump proposed a 10% tariff on all imported cars and parts, aiming to protect Detroit's automakers, Ford, GM, and Stellantis. The idea was simple on paper, but the stakes were enormous for workers, companies, and consumers alike. The idea? Make foreign cars pricier, so Americans would buy domestic. The hope was that this would revive Detroit's factories, fill parking lots with American-made vehicles, and restore lost jobs. It sounded simple. Penalize foreign companies, give U.S. brands a boost, and bring back jobs. Supporters believed it would level the playing field and reignite the city's economic engine. But here's the catch, American cars aren't 100% American anymore. Even the most iconic Detroit models rely on parts and materials sourced from all over the world. Today's auto industry is a global web, parts and materials cross borders before assembly. A single car might have an engine from Canada, electronics from Japan, and steel from South Korea, all coming together on a Detroit assembly line. The tariff wasn't just a wall, it was a minefield. Detroit's own automakers were caught in the blast, facing higher costs for the very parts they needed to build their cars. Instead of helping, the policy backfired, hurting the very companies it was meant to save. Layoffs increased, factories slowed down, and uncertainty spread across the industry. The plan to secure Detroit's future triggered a chain reaction, shaking the industry to its core. Investors panicked, supply chains buckled, and the ripple effects were felt far beyond Michigan. The silver bullet for Detroit? It turned out to be a shot in the foot. Instead of a comeback, Detroit faced new challenges and even more competition. And in the chaos, an unexpected rival was ready to surge ahead. Foreign automakers, now more determined than ever, saw an opening to capture even more of the American market. So what went wrong? How did Detroit, once the beating heart of American industry, find itself in such a bind? For decades, Detroit's Big Three relied on sprawling global supply chains, engines from Mexico, electronics from Taiwan, transmissions from China. This web of suppliers kept costs low and production humming, but it also made the industry vulnerable to global shocks. When the tariff hit, it didn't just target foreign brands, it slammed Ford, GM, and Stellantis too. Billions in new costs appeared almost overnight, disrupting carefully balanced budgets and production schedules. Faced with a tough decision, absorb the hit or raise prices, Detroit chose to pass the costs to consumers. Price tags at dealerships shot up, sometimes by thousands of dollars. Suddenly, American cars cost more, especially electric vehicles, since their most expensive components, the batteries, still came from China. The price gap between US and foreign cars widened. The result? Detroit's cars became less competitive, not more. Showrooms grew quieter as buyers hesitated or stayed away altogether. Consumers, already squeezed by high interest rates and inflation, faced sticker shock. Many simply couldn't afford the jump. Brand loyalty faded as buyers scoured the market for better deals, turning to competitors or even holding off on buying altogether. The tariff, meant to protect American jobs, ended up trapping Detroit in a cage of higher costs and falling sales, making it harder to compete at home and abroad. By July 2025, the damage was clear. Sales slumped, profits shrank, and Detroit's automakers were suddenly on the defensive, scrambling to adapt. The policy's unintended consequences opened the door for a rival who'd played the long game, waiting for Detroit to stumble. Detroit was caught in its own trap, and as the dust settled, someone else was ready to seize the opportunity and take the lead. While Detroit's auto industry faced tough times and uncertainty, Toyota quietly thrived, charting a different course. For decades, Toyota invested heavily in U.S. factories, Kentucky, Indiana, Texas, creating thousands of jobs and building cars with American workers and locally sourced parts. This commitment wasn't just about assembling vehicles, it was about becoming part of the American manufacturing landscape. Their build where you sell strategy meant that most Toyotas sold in America were actually made in America, supporting local economies and communities. So when tariffs hit and competitors scrambled, Toyota's costs stayed stable. Their cars didn't spike in price, giving them a huge advantage over rivals. In the electric vehicle race, Toyota's U.S. battery plant with Panasonic ensured a steady domestic supply of advanced batteries, keeping production moving smoothly. They kept prices low, just as Americans needed affordable, fuel-efficient cars more than ever, making Toyota a go-to choice for families watching their budgets. The result? Toyota became nearly immune to the tariff's impact, and their market share in the U.S. soared as competitors struggled. Ironically, the so-called foreign company was now one of the most American-made automakers, deeply woven into the fabric of U.S. industry. Their secret? Investing in America long before the storm, building trust and infrastructure that paid off when it mattered most. The tariff handed Toyota a golden opportunity, right in Detroit's backyard, cementing their place as a true American success story. As Detroit's prices soared, Americans did what they always do, looked for value. The math of a car payment beat the emotion of buy American. A Toyota RAV4 built in Kentucky became a smarter buy than a pricier domestic SUV. Brand loyalty crumbled under economic pressure. Toyota's U.S. sales surged. Dealers saw lifelong Ford and Chevy drivers switching sides. Toyota offered reliability, fuel economy, and stable prices. Everything buyers wanted. By July 2025, Toyota's market share was close to surpassing Ford, GM, and Stellantis combined. The tariff meant to save Detroit instead accelerated its decline. The market redefined what it means to be an American car. Consumers chose value, not just a nameplate. So, what is an American car now? If a Toyota is built in Indiana by American workers using U.S. parts, is it foreign? Meanwhile, Detroit brands rely on global parts, so are they truly American? Toyota is now a major U.S. employer supporting communities and the economy. The old definitions don't fit, the lines are blurred. The tariff was based on outdated thinking, missing the reality of today's industry. Toyota's rise shows that American is about investment and jobs, not just headquarters. The real question, who truly makes the American car, the company with the American name or the one with the American factory? The answer isn't simple. What do you think?